Yo, and welcome to the Ambition Hour podcast. It's your girl, Ari 3000, and this is episode 68.
Yeah, 68 episodes.
Yes, hello, and welcome yet to another edition of the Ambition Hour podcast. I am your amazing host, Ari 3000. And I am not alone. I am joined by you guys, and of course, my audio visual have 600. And thank you for joining us for yet another week. If you are listening to us on WTW Radio, which could be on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, I appreciate you and welcome. Thank you. Make sure if you are listening to us, wherever you are listening to us, to go ahead and subscribe and leave a comment, as well as leave a review if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts. If you are watching us on WTW TV, hey y'all. Good to see you guys yet again another week. And if you are watching us in IGTV, thank you so much for being here. You're only going to get to catch the first 10 minutes. So once the 10 minutes are up, head on over to WTW TV. That way you can subscribe, join the notification gang. That way you get notified each and every single time that we drop a new video, a new song, and a new podcast. Which brings us to our video and song of the week, which comes from our audio visual. I don't know if you guys know, but if it's your first time here on WTW TV or radio, Worth the Wait Records is our company, and we do our own videos, our own songs. We have he's a rapper, my audio visual, he's a director, he's an editor, like everything. We all do everything here. And if you need everything, all one-stop shop, WTW, all you gotta do is just go to our website, which is wtwrecords.com. And this week's video, guys, is, hold on, I have my glasses, but I don't want to put them on. It's Girls Have Fun by Hav.
Yeah.
So shout out to Hav for the video of the week.
And that's freestyle, y'all.
It's a freestyle, so go ahead and check that out. It's the new song and the new video that's dropping today, which is WTW Saturdays. I'm really excited. We're shooting this a couple of days ahead because Hav and the boys are going to Virginia, so
don't hit me saying that you watched the show and I'm still here. I'm not. You recorded this earlier, guys.
Yeah, we were recording this a couple of days earlier because he's not going to be here, so we had to make sure that, everything was set because your girl would go crazy doing this alone. Even though I used to do this on my own, but we had a whole complete different system back then when I was doing it on my own. Now it's a lot more organized, I would say. Okay, so I need to make sure that I go ahead and acknowledge all of the projects that we have already dropped this year. Number one being La Vita e Bella by Spitz. So make sure you go ahead and check that project out. And House of Jones, which also just recently dropped. It dropped on 4/20, so go ahead and make sure that you get that as well. And we also have now something for pre-order, which is Purple Label. So make sure that you go ahead and head on over to the iTunes store and pre-order Purple Label, which is another project from Worth the Wait Records. And yeah, so you can pre-order that. That one drops on May 24th, is it? 5th, I'm sorry.
It's a WTW Saturday.
It's going to be dropping on a WTW Saturday, so make sure that you guys go ahead and join the notification gang right now. That way you get notified as soon as as soon as that project drops. And if you pre-order it that day that it drops, you get that shit right in your phone. So I love doing that. I love doing pre-ordering. That way when I it's out in my phone with the day that it's out. So go ahead and support the WTW artist here at Worth the Wait Records. So we're gonna go ahead and go down the week like how we did last week. Kind of like the flow of how last week episode was. So we're gonna kind of bring that on back. Bring it on back. So a question that I have been asking myself is, why are men and women so different? Why do we think differently? Why do we act differently? Why do we react differently? And this was just a question that I kept having over and over and over for the past week. So curious minds usually find answers. And so that's exactly what I did. I did some research. I wanted to find out what is the difference between the woman brain and the male brain. And because ultimately, what I want to, I guess, teach more of is equality. And I want both men and women to feel that they are equally listened to, understood, that they are both being protected equally as well. But why is it that we can't empathize equally? We can't really understand each other. We can't, if we both, men and women, have brains, how is it that it's so different? You know what I mean? So I started doing a little bit of research. So, of course, men have testosterone and women have estrogen. So there's the really big difference there. How did you have something that you were
saying? You spent countless hours on the internet scavenging.
Scavenging. I take my job as a journalist very seriously. I have to provide top quality content for my people. And then it's also, for me, it's funny because I swear, if I wouldn't have, like, when I was going to school, I was in like mass communications. That was my major because I did want to be a radio personality. But honestly, I think I would have been also like a sociology major, because that class interested me so much, because it like teaches you on how and why people act the way that they act or whatnot. So besides the women having estrogen and men having testosterone, men's brains are 10% bigger, but it doesn't necessarily equate to you being smart, like a man being smarter. So another thing that is a little different is that women's brains, they like work from side to side, like left to right, like this, which allows us to multitask, and it allows us to empathize. And there's just like there's like a science behind the women's brain that makes it for that we are able to empathize more. We're able to, express our feelings a little bit more. And some of the things that I also read about the men's is that, so women's go side to side, and men's brains, the way that I guess like it works is like it's up and down. So that's already a difference. So whenever we're having the conversation of like, oh, well, we don't really understand each other, but it's because our brains don't even work the same. So how is it like a woman, like, you know what I mean? Like, our brains don't work the same. So it's hard for us to see each other's points and to empathize with one another, because it's like, I don't see it the way that you're seeing it. So then another question comes up. So how are we supposed to, be able to be in healthy relationships if we don't even think the same? So, of course, the answer to that is communication. Now, there's different forms of communication. I feel like there's toxic communication, and then I also feel that there's healthy communication. Now, depending on the person that you are speaking to is how you have to base the way that you are communicating. A lot of the times we have toxic communication because we weren't taught to communicate very well. This stems from growing up with, parents who maybe never communicated with you, or even siblings who never really communicated with you, or you just, that part of the communication process in your mind just never developed fully. So it just never happened for you. So now that's just going on to like a whole nother thing, which is like communication, which I, as an adult, have had to come to terms that my communication skills haven't always been the best when I was younger. So as the older that I get, that's something that I've been working on. So that's why I could go off into a little tangent about communication. But going back to the differences of the male and the female brain, the other things that I read was women. So I did say that women can multitask, and something that men can do is men can solve problems directly. So I, as being a woman reading that, I completely agree with men being able to solve things like directly. Women, we can solve problems, or we are really quick on our feet. But I feel like we sometimes act on emotion, and men lack that emotion. So they just do it like with they just do it with this conviction. Sometimes that's what happens when like women, we go into the workforce and we want to get paid more, but we're afraid. And then there's a coworker who is a male who was making more money because why he went directly and asked for more money or whatnot. Which ladies, don't ever be afraid to ask for more money at your job, especially if you're doing a really good job. That's a whole other thing too of like, the equality in paying, like if women we're multitasking a lot more, so we should be getting paid a lot more because we're technically doing a lot more things. That's for some of us. Now, this is very general information that I'm getting. Like I can't, if I were to break down, like, because there's some women that have gone through certain things that make them maybe not think like a man, but think like a man. You know what I mean? Like, because we can't really think like a man, but there's some circumstances that happen to some of us, and there's sometimes that we go through something and it just changes our mind on how we would normally as women think. And I feel like the same thing goes for men from growing up around sisters. They kind of see how it is to be with like live with a woman. So there's just different things that you start to learn about, the mind and how it works, and just things. Like for me, like I empathize with men, and I'm able to understand where they're coming from at times because I allow myself to fully understand what it is that they're going through. And I don't know. So since I don't know, I'm more open to understanding because I'm curious. I want to know why. Why do you think like that? So yeah, so men solve problems directly. Women are more prone to depression, anxiety, and eating disorders, which I felt really true in a sense. I feel more because I've said this before, men are taught to not show emotion. Now to like from doing this research, I understand that like it's just like sociologically you can't, because it's just part of like your mind. Like the man's mind isn't really taught that. And I thought, like, not taught that, but it just doesn't have it. I've said that men are raised to not have emotion, but then science in the brain proves that that's just how they are. Like they're just taught to not show emotion, which is one of the reasons why women were more open to being like that we're depressed, that we have anxiety, that we have an eating disorder. I know men who have anxiety, who have been depressed, and who have eating disorders. Like, I'm not saying that this is like that. All I'm saying is that women are more prone to it based on the science that is in our minds, in our brains. So now there's a difference, because there's the difference between brains and then the mindset. So because we can look at the general female brain, and we can see like, okay, so it has estrogen, it has the white side, which is, it delivers this, and then we use both sides of our brain and like all of this stuff, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have the same mindset. So I don't want to confuse brain with mindset. I just want to attack the brain part, because that is what's making me understand that we don't really think alike. We don't think alike. So when I hear some crazy ass shit that a man says, it's just like, oh, I understand. There's certain parts of your brain that are not the same as mine. So, and that's what I want to do. I want to understand and learn how to understand. That way I can teach you guys how to learn how to understand, because that's something that I feel like it's a step going towards the equality and understanding. Because like I spoke about last week, and this is the reason why was the whole Aisha Curry situation and how men were thinking about it. And I'm like, why are some men thinking like this? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why some men are thinking this way. And so that question brought answers, and it brought understanding, and it brought me wanting to bring this information to you guys, so that way you guys can understand the differences of a male brain, and a female brain, which I think is important if we want to move forward. Bringing in the conversation that we brought last week, mainly because there is a new state who is doing it, and it's the abortion law that is happening. and it's happening now in Alabama. I saw it last night. It's this is pretty sad. So I just want to say that it's sad. It's weird, it's infuriating. As a woman, I'm just like, I I find myself not really not knowing what it is that I can do. I have this a platform that I can use my voice so I can voice how I truly feel about it. I want to get involved. I just don't know how to get involved. And if anybody knows how I can get involved, please let me know, because I would I would love to. Even though it's not in the state that I'm in, I just feel like, man, like I said this earlier on Twitter, like you should just mind your uterus. And if you don't have a uterus, then you shouldn't be saying anything about anybody else's. Like real talk, you have no right, no right. There is no way, like, and how I spoke about like last week about that I've never had to even like I've never had to think about that situation or have had to make the decision of whether to keep a child or not. I've never had to do that. But I would hate for somebody who can just not have a child for whatever reason, to have that freedom to say, this is what I want to do, this is not what I want to do, it's my body. I just wanted to go ahead and give you guys a couple of facts of what's going down if this bill gets passed. What kind of got me even more upset is that a woman is the one in charge of passing this bill.
Bruh.
I don't know how like true that is from the cuz this is low-key fake news here. The Ambition Hour. This is the Ambition Hour podcast, and I'm not going to tell y'all straight facts on here. For all we know, the brain shit that I just talked about, like, I wrapped it up in a real nice present for y'all. No, let me stop. But it's just to let you guys know, like, I'm finding out just like you guys. I'm finding out through social media, and then I'm gaining more information by researching. I made sure that I even listened to like one of the meetings that they were having. Like, yo, when have y'all like never ever? I feel like my cousin told me that when you get older, you start watching the news more. I'm not watching the news, but I am, like, this abortion shit got me all the way interested on what's going on in the Congress and all. I'm like, when's the next time we can vote? Because we need to get some of these people out of this. I don't even live in Alabama. Like, my vote in Alabama doesn't even count. It's crazy. Okay, so Alabama just passed a near total ban on abortion. No exceptions for rape or incest. Doctors could face 99 years in prison for providing abortions. And so the last thing says, this is a war on women and it is time to fight like hell, which I agree, which is why a lot of what women are fighting for is not so much like, oh, let's kill all the babies. Like, it's not that. It's so much deeper than that. It's like, it's just freedom. Like, I feel like women, we we're already told that we're soft, we're already told we're emotional, we're already told, like, we're told so many different things, and we already don't get equal pay, we don't get treated equally as men. And for men to that are in higher position to be the ones in charge of what a woman can do with her body, like I said last week, it's insanity to me. And so, for one of the things that kind of like threw me off was for the difference between the one in Georgia is that if the person does the abortion, they can go to jail, which then makes them a felon, which makes it that they can't vote. So then now whoever's doing these things because they have to do them, they're going to jail. When they get out of the jail, they're felons, so then they can't vote. So when you can't vote for who's going into like, you can't do anything when you're a felon. Like, it's insane how, like I said last week, they're criminalizing a woman's body. They're using whatever it is that they can to kind of like bring us down. But as women, we don't care, man. As women, we come together and we fucking go ahead and just like do what it is that we have to do for the sake of our women, for the future generations that can make their own decisions and just do what they want to do, and just just like break all the barriers. That's what us women are going to do. So like I said, if anybody knows what I can do to help, please let me know. Drop in the comments, and like, I would love to help. But this ban and like all that stuff, just go ahead and get more educated on that. That way like what it is, because I know in Alabama and Georgia it's not really the same, but they are both passing like, abortion laws, and that is not okay. Okay. So I love documentaries. So one of the documentaries that I saw this past week was the Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang, Wu-Tang.
And that shit was dope. It was like it was art. So first of all, I don't understand how they had all that footage. Like they have ODB on the phone. His mom is there. They have ODB when he's getting out of jail, and Dame Dash is there. They have footage of like when they're recording Cream. They have like in RZA's like apartment, and when they go to like China, and Raekwon is getting interviewed and he's in a robe and on a bed. Like, talk about interview goals. But just all of the information that they had, that they gave us. They talked about Wu-Wear, and if you follow me on Twitter, then I talked about how Wu-Wear in one of the best years that they had, made $25 to $30 million. Goddamn. And they weren't even making the most money from Wu-Wear. Wu-Wear was the third source of income that they were generating. First was music. So they had music that was getting the most money. So imagine how much they were making off of music if they were making $25 to $30 million in Wu-Wear. That's a lot of money that they were making. Of course, they had to split it between the 9 of them, but it was an enterprise. It is an enterprise, and it's 25 years later. Like I said, there's mad ODB footage in there, and I was like, you would have thought. I feel like seeing that, like, they were preparing for the future. Like, they were prepared, like, they wanted their entire rise to be documented, and I thought that was so beautiful. And then RZA's brother is in it, Divine, and he talks about it. It's funny because, like, he gets on there, and he's just like, RZA said that I couldn't talk for 25 years, and now he let me talk. So it's his first time doing an interview and everything, and he's, like, on a yacht, and it's dope. Like I said, the footage is awesome. It's on Showtime. Not a plug. I don't have a code. But if somebody from Showtime ever watches this and y'all want to give me a code, by all means, email us. theambitionhourpodcast@gmail.com.
Proud supporters of Shameless?
Love Shameless. Favorite show. Fiona's gone. Really sad about that. But.
And Power?
Power. Power's on Showtime. It is on Showtime.
Moving along.
Moving along. What's your story?
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to our little niece. She's funny. It's funny because I want to talk about her because she was just as curious as I am. Like, I see that curiosity flowing through my niece. And when I tell you that she is a curious little mind, she is. And that's something that I, as a grown-ass woman, want to like implement more, because I want to be more curious. That way I learn more, because that's the only way that you learn, by being curious and wanting to ask questions and
big facts
and trying to understand more. Missy Elliott and Justin Timberlake receive what?
Oh, go ahead.
What were you gonna say?
It's Doctor.
It's Doctor. I know, it's Dr. Missy. Dr. Missy and Dr. Justin Timberlake receive honorary doctorates from Berkeley College. So shout out to that. Missy's been having a really good year, because she got inducted to the Writers Hall of Fame. She was the first female rapper to do so. Now she received an honorary doctorate from Berkeley College. Missy needs more flowers. I know that she's coming out with an album. They said that some of the songs from like Ari Lennox's album kind of give you like Missy vibes, and I agree because it's the one the BMO, and it makes sense because Break Me Off, that kind of gives you like my Hav says that it gives you like Aaliyah vibes, and then BMO. If you haven't heard the song by Ari Lennox, go ahead and check it out. Talked about it last week. You should have already heard it. I gave an amazing review. I said it was magic. I danced for you guys. Like, I don't know how you haven't listened to it. Listen. If you haven't listened to it, I've listened to it for you because I've listened to the album so much. Now I'm getting distracted. But
and we still don't got a promo code.
And we still don't got a promo code from Ari. Like, I don't even get a retweet. Like, damn. I was tweeting about you every day, but it's okay. I digress. So yeah, so she's been having a really good year. But Hav was saying that that it kind of gave him Aaliyah vibes, and then in BMO she says "Gitchy Gitchy Ya," which is, you know, from the Patti LaBelle song. But Missy Elliott was behind when Lady Marmalade came out, which was with Little Kim and like all those girls. So it kind of intertwines. Listen, everything goes back to the Queen Missy, Dr. Queen Missy Elliott. That's wild, Dr. Queen.
How you got two titles?
How you got two titles?
You gotta get one or the other.
No, but she's a queen. She's a doctor and she's a queen. So, Dr. Queen, Missy Elliott, we salute you. And Justin Timberlake,
So he's Dr. Love Doctor now?
He's Love.
Because isn't he got a song called that?
Does he? Isn't it Love Sick? No. I don't remember what it's called. But I was gonna mention something that I didn't get to mention a while back was the Ariana Grande performance. Ariana Grande. I don't think I talked about how they said that NSYNC was there. Bitch, oh, yeah. Justin Timberlake was not there. So NSYNC was not there. It was JC, Chris, Lance, and who was the last one?
Chris, JC, Lance, and Joey.
Fatone. Joey Fatone.
Probably from Orlando.
Yes. So it was
Hot Ones recently.
It was them. It was them. Hav is our NSYNC correspondent. Because I don't remember Homeboy's name. But yeah, so JT wasn't even there, so I got excited. I'm like, oh shit, it's NSYNC. She brought out NSYNC. This shit is lit. And then I'm like, wait a minute, there's only 4 of them? There's 5 NSYNC members, and y'all ain't bring JT. So y'all over here talking about it's tearing up my heart, and y'all skipping JT's part. Y'all tearing my heart. Y'all tore my heart. My heart's on the floor. Like, real talk.
and that's a negative on the Dr. Sex Love or whatever. That's a song I made up.
That's a song that you made up. Javier's over there making up his own songs, like, while we're doing this. That's funny. So I saw this video of Mark Anthony and J-Lo's daughter singing. Now, this little girl sang her beautiful little heart out. I'm gonna play a little bit of it for you guys because it is beautiful. I don't think I even have it anymore. Damn. I'm such a heat up. I'm over here talking to you guys. Oh, I do have it.
Bruh, I sound just like that. Y'all need to stop playing and start giving me my flowers, bruh.
Listen.
When I sing and she sing, I see no difference.
You see? I was saying that he sees no difference between him and that. I love you with all my heart, so I can tell you that there is definitely a difference. But come on, she's like 10, 11 years old. Like, what is really going... Like, I put it on my Instagram story, like, this girl needs a 10 album contract or more. She needs, like, a lifetime contract because of that voice. Like, who do we gotta talk to get her in the studio ASAP? Like...
Mark Anthony?
Mark Anthony?
J-Lo?
They haven't been answering my text messages, so I might have to see where else I can maybe get in contact with them. Maybe A-Rod. No, that's a heat up. But so it was funny because Twitter was just like, oh, that J-Lo's daughter can out sing her or something like that. And they're like, yeah, but J-Lo's dad isn't Mark Anthony. Y'all gonna put some respect on my dog Mark Anthony's name. Like, y'all gonna put some real respect on that name, because he is a motherfucking legend, let me tell you. Like, I heard her sing and I literally like put his discography on because I was just like, yo. Like, I was just like, this little girl got talent from who? From him. And it's funny because J-Lo was looking at her daughter, and I'm so bad. When I'm looking at the video and I see how J-Lo's looking at her daughter, it's just like I could never sing like that. Imagine like when J-Lo gets on the girl's nerves, on her nerves, she's just like, bet you can't sing if I ain't got you like me. Imagine if the little girl did that, like on some shady shit, like talking shit back to your mom. You know your mom be pissing you off sometimes, and you be wanting a nice little comeback. Imagine you telling her she's a singer and that she can't sing. It's on. Got her ass. Got her, man. You see, I told y'all the Lord be working on me because I'm still a little petty. It's supposed to be positive. It is positive. Ari Lennox came out with a video. I talked about Ari Lennox.
I was like, she already came out with the album. Glad we talked about it.
It's been a week since the album dropped, and I've listened to it like a million times. I'm pretty sure that her album songs are from my phone. Does that count? No, I don't know. I feel like
yeah, multiple streams count. Yeah.
I feel like I'm not the only one who has been doing that though, because one of my followers hit me up on some like, yo, me too. I was like, girl, I feel you. That album is like nonstop. I brought Ari Lennox up because she dropped a video for Up Late, which is one of the most beautiful songs that she has on the album. It was very simple, very, very like peaceful and like egocentric and like, I don't know. I loved it. She's like in a field. Masego is there. Is it Masego? He's like a trumpet player. He's the producer behind the song. He's in the video. One of the reasons why, and I told you guys last week that I love this album, is the use of the instrumentation that she used. Like, all the instruments that she used and the vocals and the just everything. Guys, I already told you last week, like, just go listen to the album. I told my coworker today, I'm just like, I kind of want to tell you that I haven't stopped hearing the Ari Lennox album. And she's just like, I had a feeling. But yeah, the video for that is pretty dope. I personally prefer the live acoustic version that she did.
Well versed in her Ari Lennox.
Yeah, I mean,
I put respect on my dog's name.
Yeah, I see. I'm very obsessive. Like, if I like somebody, I'm listening to all of their songs. I'm listening to their interviews. I'm watching videos, performances. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page. Like, what's really good with these? Like, that has been something, and that helps me in what I do, I guess, because
I want to pull up to the interview like, so in 4th grade.
So in 4th grade, you said how you felt this way, and why did you feel that way? Something that I wanted to talk about, getting off of like Ari Lennox and that amazing album that she dropped, because hello, if you haven't already heard it, like I said again, just listen to it. Before I move on to this, is because this is something kind of deep, and it's something that I've been like wanting to talk about but haven't fully been able to talk about. And y'all know that. Okay, let me finish my first thought. Okay, I listened to the Emotional Oranges album from front to back. I listened to it again today. I listened to it 2 times already. It's a really good album from beginning to end. Rory is their manager. Shout out to Rory, because of him is the reason why I listened to them. And I think that it's pretty cool that he's managing and has a podcast that gives me inspiration, because that is something that I ultimately would love to do. A&R, manage and all that stuff besides the podcasting. And so that's very inspiring. The album is pretty dope. Really, really love it. I feel like there was something else before I jumped into this thing that I wanted to talk about, and I forgot. Do you remember? Does anybody remember? la 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 la.
Oh man, yeah, something you want to talk about for a long time. It's been pretty deep.
Okay, yes. So I was gonna talk about that, but there was something else, and I didn't write it down. And okay, so Rolling Loud was in Miami this past weekend.
Rolling.
Guys, for those of you that don't live in Miami, Rolling Loud was not in Miami. It was in fucking Broward County. Okay, because
sorry to tell you, y'all was not in Miami.
y'all was not in Miami. Like, and
the
it's
hotel was probably
it's funny because people be on some like, oh no, if to me, if once I see the welcome to Broward County or entering Broward County, we are no longer in Miami-Dade County. So therefore, we are no longer in Miami. Some people say otherwise. To me, that shit's not we passing borders. That's not Miami anymore. And that shit is right. Okay, so Rolling Loud happened. A couple of artists, one of them being Kodak Black, got arrested.
Free Kodak.
Yeah, so Kodak got arrested. Kodak has been in and out of jail the majority of his career. And there was somebody else who I think got arrested as well.
I think NBA YoungBoy.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on who it was that got arrested.
T Grizzly. They got into it because NBA YoungBoy and him got into it. Something happened with Lil Wayne. Lil
Wayne didn't perform because they were like gonna police him pretty much.
Oh, and someone passed away too. A rapper from I think.
A rapper from Chicago got shot, and then a little kid got shot at as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh shit! I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so it was a pretty crazy weekend. Of course, one of the reasons why this happens is there's a lot of people. There's times where artists they have beef with each other, or people have beef with people when they come down here. Beef can start here too, because you can come out here and it's hot as hell. Someone just looks at you the wrong way and you just hot because it's hot. And that's the thing. Like, if you ain't from Miami and you come out in this heat and you're around people that you don't know, some shit might go down. And you drink more water, because that's what's gonna cool you down. I say all of that to say this. In the hip-hop community, something that I have noticed is that a lot of our artists get criminalized. Just the same as women's bodies are getting criminalized right now, I feel like there is that law, unwritten law, on rappers or people in the hip-hop entertainment industry. Why do I say that? From the beginning of time, as far as hip-hop goes, I would say at least after like early 90s, you would see hip-hop artists and you would always see police. There was always that, like, either whether the artists were talking about the police in their songs and talking about how fuck them, or talking about like just different, there's been different like cop songs, there's been
injustice.
Yeah, injustice. There has been a lot of like, there is just that connection there. So now one of the times that hip hop got in trouble was because of its lyrics. So what ends up happening? Cops start showing up to their shows. Cops start going to artists and start arresting them before they even get on stage. And to me, what bothers me is that our rappers are getting targeted because of that. Because, of course, a lot of it has to do with their actions. A lot of rappers, when they're walking around, they're wearing a lot of jewelry. They're with entourages. They're with, people who may have had just gotten out of jail, who are, running away from the law. And automatically, like, if it's somebody in your crew and, you're there with them, the police are more liable to just take you as well because you're with that person. But, because I know a while back, Lil Baby had gotten arrested too, and I remember that it had gotten recorded and everything.
Oh yeah, that was crazy how he got arrested.
Yeah, right? No, it was like on tape and everything, and how they record. And bro, you're not gonna tell me that these cops don't know who these people are, man. Like,
I think that's the problem. They know. So
that's why. That's the thing. That's the point. Like, is that they're getting targeted. You know, something that I can just hear like a cop saying, just be like, "Oh, I got one of those rapper dudes." Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine how common that is. Imagine how, cause okay, when these rappers, especially like I would say during this weekend during Rolling Loud, people knew that Kodak was going to be there. Um, that means that the people who were in charge of the event knew that he was going to be there. That means that they had to be in contact with somebody who is over the authority that knew that he was going to be there, as far as like police and stuff like that. They knew that that they were going to be there. So they think, "Oh, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to catch him while he's, you know, about to perform and stuff." And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that first of all, I in no way, shape, or form am condoning the conduct of some of these artists, because a lot of these artists are acting in a way that should put them in jail. I'm saying that when it becomes something that is like a target, you're targeting these men who aren't really doing anything wrong. You're just targeting them, and then you're taking them on these bullshit charges, and you know, you're taking them away from their families, you're taking them away from their career. Like, even the whole thing with like 21 Savage, when he went in jail because he was leaving, he was living illegally here. Like, okay, they use them as an example. They use them like on, you know, you think that you're gonna beat the system, but just because you're a rapper, you think you're gonna beat the system, but you're not, and we're gonna send you to jail. That's the same thing that like Meek is going through. There's just so many of our artists that are going through it that don't need to be going through it, and the reason why I feel like that's happening is because it's the criminalization of these rappers. So for me, that was something that I had really wanted to talk about, because it was something that I just feel like I said, there's a target on artists. There's a target even on people who listen to hip hop music. I, being a woman who listens to hip hop music, can be looked at a certain way because of the music that I'm listening to. Can be pulled over because I have hip hop music blasting in my car, and they could possibly think that I'm smoking weed, which I might be. But I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Like, that's something that automatically gets like intertwined. It's just like hip hop crime. Oh, if they're listening to hip hop, or if they're doing hip hop music, they must be doing something bad. And it's just like, no, we just living. But there are some artists, like I said, I'm not condoning their conduct, because I know some of them are trifling. I know some of them aren't doing good. Some of them are rapping about a certain lifestyle, and they're actually living that lifestyle. So of course that comes with, you know, when you start breaking laws, like rapper or not, you got to go to jail. So like I said, I'm not condoning that conduct. It's just when it becomes targeted is when I feel like there should be more of a voice for our artists, you know, for our hip hop artists, for our rappers, for the ones who are really just trying to be better people, be better citizens, instead of being criminalized, because it's not fair. I just don't think it's fair. Like, why are you guys doing that to these artists? And like, I always remember like in the NWA movie, what was this, Straight Outta Compton?
NWO.
No, NWA. I'm not talking about the podcast.
I'm tripping, no, because I knew you were talking about the group, but
Yeah, you're like, no, it's the NWO podcast. Which, guys, we have a visual. Well, they have a visual out for episode 59 of the NWO podcast.
Space Bay.
Which is called Space Bay. You can go to their YouTube page, which is NWO podcast.
No, NWO Pod.
It's NWOpod.com. That's their website?
Yeah, that's their website.
Okay, so NWOpod.com, and then I'm pretty sure you can find their you can find their YouTube there and stuff like that. So check them out. Episode was funny. Awesome.
Back to NWO and Eazy-E and
yeah, and no, NWA have.
Oh, I still said it wrong?
You still said it wrong. It is okay. I am here for you, just like you're here for me. I'll be singing like if anything, I'm the one singing like Mark Anthony's daughter.
Touche.
So NWA about how like as soon as they like got off stage or something because they performed the song. That's even happened with Bobby Brown. Bobby Brown, the reason why he got arrested was because they told him not to dance raunchy on stage and to not bring women on stage and dance on them, and the man did it, so he had to go to jail.
I know Too Short had something like that happen to him, where like he wasn't supposed to bring girls up and he brought girls up.
Yeah, listen, if R. Kelly did it and got away with it for a very long time, I don't understand why some of these artists that are probably picking women that are of age.
Like R. Kelly gets away with it all the time.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I can't bring a girl up. But yeah, so there's people who they get arrested like after they perform, before they perform. Lil Wayne didn't perform because he's like, y'all not gonna check my shit. Should I feel him? It was funny because I'm really happy that I remember this fun fact. I was reading because he posted the statement on Twitter, and somebody was just like, man, I flew all the way over here, but I get you. And I was like, damn, that's a true fan.
So very understanding.
That's a very understanding.
Like, yeah, for you did tell me that. Like, or like
very understanding fan.
I wouldn't perform either, Wayne.
I wouldn't perform either way. Like, haha, I can't have you in that kind of danger. Not my favorite rapper.
I can see why you wouldn't do that.
I can see why you wouldn't do that. Oh man. Okay, so something that. How much more time do we have?
We got about 15.
We got a 15. So I talked about emotional. Because I don't have my glasses on, so let me just check before I go ahead and get to the advice section. Is it advice? Yeah, it's advice section. Because it's like, I like to drop a few gems on y'all asses right before we close out the show. Oh, okay. So I did talk about the NWO podcast. I talked about Purple Label dropping the 25th. Make sure to pre-order the new video that we're dropping, which is Girls Have Fun by Hav. Make sure that you visit our website, which is WTWRecords.com. That way you get everything WTW.
Thumbs up.
If you're listening to us on WTW Radio, please go ahead and subscribe. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And leave a comment, too.
Leave a comment. If you are on Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. The more reviews we get, the more popping we get. The more popping we get, the more people we get. The more people we get, the better. I don't know. Like, I kind of ran out of words.
More advice coming.
And more advice means more knowledge. And
more fact checking. Because, yeah, now they're going to know if it's fake news or not.
Yeah, they're going to be like, this bitch don't know shit. Oh, you know what? I just remembered what I was going to talk about when I forgot what I was going to talk about. See? Everything happens. That's why you ask how much time you got, because your mind starts working a little bit more. Be like, oh shit, I got 15 minutes. I got 15 minutes to get like, bitch, what are we doing? That's funny because me and my coworker have that. We be saying that to each other, like, bitch, what are we doing? Okay, so what I remembered was I was having a conversation with her homegirl, Brittany. Shout out to Brittany. She's the one who has and owns this candle company, which is Annie & Co. I wanted to make sure I said it right. Annie & Co., which is 100% coconut wax candles. We actually got to see her this past week.
All natural.
You can pronounce the ingredients that are in this candle. I have 3 of them.
All self-made.
She in her crib. Poured by herself, poured in Atlanta, Georgia. They're about to be poured in New York, Brooklyn, New York, that is. Oh, guys, we got our tickets to New York. We're so excited. We're going to be there June 6th. June 6th through June 10th. We're going to be celebrating a young guy's birthday, Gemini gang gang. I'm just saying. I'm really excited. Back to the candles. So make sure that you go ahead and check her website out. Go ahead and check her Instagram out. I'll make sure to post it on our Ambition Hour podcast page, which reminds me to let you guys know to make sure that you are following us on Instagram and Twitter, which is Ambition Hour. You can follow my personal page, which is AuDii Ambition, and our audio visual king have 600. Shout out to Spitz, who isn't joining us today, but is usually here to provide good vibes. So shout out to that king as well. Listen, just like kings need queens, queens need kings, okay? Okay.
You got bars today.
I got bars, man. I don't know how I get them, but when I was the conversation that I was having with Brittany was that I get very nervous. I've talked about how I get nervous on here, how sometimes like I'm like, girl, what are you saying? Sometimes I black out, not in like a drunk way, just in like a I get into like this whole realm of myself, and I've talked about how like I have like an on and off switch. I've mentioned that before. There's times where like my mind, it's you see it like you see it on camera when your girl's mind just goes like it's cuz the girl's brain be thinking like this, man. That's why. Now I know. You see, the more you know. The more you know, the more you understand yourself. I understood that a woman's mind goes from left to right and the man's goes up and down. And that's why I be side to side sometimes and don't know what the fuck is going on while I'm fucking talking. But I'm just saying, listen, ladies, men, gentlemen, if I can do this every week for you guys, despite the fact that I am super shy and that I get super nervous, and there's times that I cannot hold a full sentence with a normal human being. I'm out here chasing this goal because listen, all I'm trying to do is the thing that aligns me the most with God. That's what I'm trying to do. And this is exactly what that does for me. So that is what I am pursuing. And I am going after, because this is what aligns me the most with God, because this is what God put me on this earth to do. And that is why I'm able to speak in front of you guys every single week for an hour and break down this crazy mind of mine sometimes, because I know what I am doing is in straight alignment with what God's plan is for me. So one of the reasons why I bring up the aligning and being in alignment with God is because one of the things that I've been learning about the most is about integrity. Why integrity, you may ask? Integrity is very important because when you have integrity, you move with integrity. Your business is your business is built on integrity. And one of the most important things that you can do once you have integrity is learn how to say no. Okay? So saying no is hard for some of us, especially if we are people pleasers. We always want to make sure that everybody around us is doing okay. We want to make sure that not like I was about to say it in Spanish, pero que nada le falta a alguien, which basically means that you don't want people to be missing out on something. You don't want them to you just want them to have everything and you want them to be happy, and then you forget your own happiness. And I want to say it how I remember like staying true to your integrity is going to allow you to be more in alignment with God's plan, because then you kind of have like you're taking a stand on what is right for you. You're taking a stand on what is good. You're taking a stand on doing the best for you. So I wanted to share with you guys, because this is the part of the show where I give you guys tips and the steps and all this stuff. And one of my things is I was a horrible person at saying no. For me, if I had a million things to do and you asked me to do one more, I would have 1,000,001 things to do, because I would not say no. And I would most likely lose my head. I would probably get an anxiety attack. I would probably want to hide in a corner after like 2 hours of trying to do everything, but I would still get it done with a fucking smile on my face. I still don't know how I did it. I don't know how I ever accomplished that, but I did suffer from wanting to please every single person that I knew except myself. So the reason why I share this is because I feel like that it's so important if you want to move forward and if you want to be more in alignment with yourself, with your integrity, with your purpose in this earth, because no is a full sentence. A whole full sentence with a period and everything. So let's get into these 7 effective ways to say no. Number 1, say it. The less said, the better. Something that I always preach is that if they don't ask me, I ain't telling them. Now, what does that mean, AuDii? What does she even mean when she says shit like that? What I mean is if they ain't asking you more questions after you say no, that's it. You just keep on like, because sometimes we say no and they'll be like, no, because my aunt's cousin's sister's brother is getting married and da da da. Listen, they don't need to know that. They don't need to know that. You don't even need to give an explanation. Like I said, no is a full sentence. Number 2, be assertive and courteous. Telling people you'll let them know. Now, this is not one of my favorite ones. I'm going to tell you guys why. I do recommend it, but I'm going to tell you why I don't like this approach, because this approach is basically telling you to like say no in a way that kind of gives them hope in the future that you will say yes. We've heard this before. A no just means a not yet. But if you say no, instead of being like, oh, no, we going to talk about it. Listen, I need you to know right now from jump that it's a no. So if you are like me, see, now what happens is I'm a Gemini. I'm very direct. I want a yes or a no. I don't need a maybe. I don't need maybe in the future. Maybe in the future we'll get together. Like, no, I don't want that. Like, it's either a yes or a no. And so yeah, but be assertive and courteous. So if you're going to say no, let them know like, okay, I can't do it. This, da, da, da. However it is that you want to do it. I told you guys my preferred method, but we're all different. Some of our brains go this way. Some of our brains go this way. So it's different for everybody. Just say no if you want to say no. Number 3, understand people's tactics. So they can use social pressure and they can use manipulation. So sometimes people, what they'll do is that they'll ask you something in a group, so that way you can't say no, because they're thinking that you're going to say yes because there's a group of people, and how dare you say no to them in front of people? Like, watch me say this no though. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to use the social setting, the social pressure, then they're going to use manipulation. Like, oh, if you don't do this, like this and that. And like, you just have to understand people's, like their minds. And sometimes you kind of have to think like, is this person genuinely, doing this because they want to help me, or is this going to benefit me in any kind of way? So that's something that, is very important. Is very understanding people's tactics. Number 4, set boundaries. Realize that your relationship is solid and can withstand your saying no. So the best relationship that I can use this on is Hav and I. Hav and I, we are brother and sister. We work very, very closely with one another. I'm behind the scenes, he's audiovisual, go to the studio, all of that. I have to be okay with saying no to him for whatever reason, and understanding that it's not going to mess up our relationship, and he has to understand that as well. And I try to understand that if he tells me no or things like that. So I have to know that if I say no to him, that it's not going to mess up our relationship. And I hope you feel the same way. Like, if you you can say no to me. But yeah, so just think about it like that. Just think about like that, just because you say no. I wish I would have known this a while ago, because if I would have said no a while ago, I feel like I probably would have still had a couple of relationships that I lost. But everything happens for a reason, so we cannot dwell on the past. We can only move forward and learn. That's why we learn. That's why I teach. That's why I research, and that's why I try to understand more, so that way we can learn together and become the best versions of ourselves together. So number 5, put the question back on the person. So asking them, this was something that would work if you like at an office space. So like, let's say your supervisor wants you to do 5 things, or you're doing 5 things and your supervisor wants you to do 1 more. Then you let them know like, hey, with the work that I have right now, I have 2 weeks that I can do this, but with what you're giving me, I'm going to need 3 weeks. How do you want me to prioritize? So, so that's something that you can do at work, where it's like, I need your help though. I'm not gonna say no, but I'm gonna need a little more time. I'm gonna need something to where you're not gonna go crazy. The work is gonna get done how it's supposed to get done, etc., etc. Number 6, be firm. You matter more even if it's uncomfortable for them. So if you say no to somebody, especially if they're used to you saying yes, they're going to get very uncomfortable because they're going to think it's a joke. And they're going to be like, she doesn't mean no. No means no, guys. I mean it. Be firm. Just be firm. Just say no. Say no. Like, just say no, man. Number 7 and the last one and my favorite one is be selfish. And it's put your needs first, okay? Put your needs first, because let me tell you, and selfish has such a bad rep sometimes, but in self-care, there is no such thing as selfishness. Let me explain to you why. When you are making sure that you're taking care of yourself, that what you are doing is in alignment with your values, with the way that you want to live your life, if you saying no is in alignment with that, then by all means, go ahead, be selfish. Now, if you're doing some things like, there's just some things that, you can do that is very selfish. I know that I've fallen into victim of being selfish, meaning that, like, I don't necessarily wait for people sometimes when I'm walking, or I listen, I'm not gonna sit here on this podcast and tell y'all all of my toxic flaws either. That's for another episode. Because it's a lot. It's really a lot of, like, there's a difference between the selfishness and the self-care. But be selfish, because at the end of the day, if you don't want to do it, you shouldn't have to do it. Like, period. So those are 7 ways that you can effectively say no. Remember to not be so hard on yourself. Don't try to be a people pleaser. Life is too short to be pleasing everybody, because at the end of the day, no matter what you do, there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like you. No matter what you do, you can do what they are telling you that they don't like about you. You can change it, and they are still not going to like you, because they are just like that. And that's just how human brains are. And now I might just have to take a whole class on the motherfucking human brain, because your girl got mad questions, and I need to understand these things, because I am confused. I am so confused, but open to learning. So if anybody even knows, like, maybe a professor that we can listen, whoever I can get on the podcast, I can talk a little bit about this with, I am so open to. So we're going to go ahead and do a rundown of all of the things that we brought to your guys' attention today. Number 1 is pre-order Purple Label. You can go to iTunes and search. What is it that they search for, Hav?
Just search Laidback Sosa, Purple Label.
You can search Laidback Sosa, Purple Label, and you'll be able to find that on iTunes. Remember, it's pre-order, and it'll be straight into your phone on May 25th. You can also order it that day as well.
And everywhere else, Spotify.
Spotify, Amazon, Tidal, Napster. All those places, wherever it is that you can get music. Also, House of Jones is already out, so make sure that you go ahead and check that out, as well as La Vita e Bella. I got some La Vita e Bella t-shirts here that you can go to the website wtwrecords.com and you can order this shirt. We got lady sizes and men's sizes, so go ahead and get your La Vita e Bella shirts. This is a new project from Spitz. This is first solo project, right? Full on length album. However they say it. It's my dog's album. Y'all go get his shirt. And we also got WTW shirts, and we also have Ambition Hour podcast shirts. We also have the Dub Capsule. Like I said, just go ahead and check out the website. That way you can get all things WTW. Also, make sure that you go ahead and check out Space Bay, which is episode 59 of the NWO podcast. You can listen to it on Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and now you can watch it on YouTube as well on their YouTube page. Remember to check their page out, nwopod.com. However, you're telling me something, but I can't see. So what?
I'm scratching my back.
Oh, my dog over here is scratching his back. I'm thinking he's giving me a signal. Listen, I'm gonna get my contacts, I promise you guys. But there was some other things that we had to spend our money on. This is your girl. Thank you so much. Remember to join our notification gang. And thank you for your time, guys. This is your girl, AuDii 3000. This is the Ambition Hour podcast, episode 68. And we are